realize what the drama is from getting it. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is from getting it. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is from getting it. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is from getting it. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is from getting it. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is.
And the other thing, too, Bill, I want to clarify African religion a little, because when I travel the world speaking about African religion, and I'm a newbie, but I've had the opportunity to learn from some of the Bawalawos and the master priests and priestesses. I actually just had a reading this past week where, you know, I had to do some certain sacrifices that I'm not going to get into to open up the path for some of the things I'm trying to do. But nonetheless, I want people to understand something. In the African spiritual system, and it don't matter which one because they're all nothing but the same thing with different names. Whether we're talking about the Loas of the Voodoo, whether we're talking about the Abusum of the Akan, whether we're talking about the Neteru of Kemet, whether we're talking about the Orisha of the Ifa of the Yoruba in Nigeria, it's the same system. Whether we're talking about the Palo or the Lakumi or the Santeria, it's the same system. I need African people to understand. And the reason I'm talking about this is because in order for us to get to where we need to do, where we need to be, we're going to have to return to our ancient spiritual system. And it does not require you to give up your current religion. I want to make sure we're clear. You can be Muslim and still deal with the ancestors. You can be Christian and still deal with the ancestors. You can be Hebrew and still deal with the ancestors. In fact, when you invoke Jesus and when you invoke Muhammad and when you invoke Abraham, you are invoking ancestors. But here's what I need us to understand. In the African spiritual system, there's a hierarchy, a divine hierarchy. At the top is the Most High, called by many names. None of them are sufficient. Neteru, you got Amin-Ra. In Ifa, you got Olarun, Olodumare, Olofin. Okay? You go to the Akan, you have Nyame. Different names for the Creator. Different names all over Africa. Different names all over the world. And it's okay no matter which one you use because none of the names are sufficient because you cannot capture the infinite invisible with a title. So it doesn't matter what your name you use. None of them are sufficient, so they are all acceptable. God is so powerful, so unfathomable, so incomprehensible that it is impossible for us to totally comprehend the totality of the Great Spirit. Our ancestors knew that. And because they knew that, they dealt with God through the various manifestations of the one God's personality. So, for example, let's take Yoruba. Let's take the Ifa religion. In the Ifa, you have what's called Orisha, which means head. You're talking about the leading attributes of the one God's personality that we have personified so that we can relate to it. Because these are spirits. So you have Obatala. Obatala is the father of the Orisha, or father of the spirits, you can say, or one of the main aspects of God's personality. Obatala deals with purity, patience, righteousness. So when you need that type of energy in your life, you tap into Obatala. Now, when you pray to Obatala, are you praying to something separate from God? Not at all. You're simply dealing with one aspect of the divine personality. Then you go over to Shango. When you're dealing with Shango, you're dealing with the energy of lightning. When you're dealing with Shango, you're dealing with kingship, because Shango was a warrior king. When you're dealing with Shango, you're dealing with wealth energy. When you're dealing with Shango, you're dealing with courage. Are you praying to a being separate from God? No, you're dealing with that aspect of the Supreme Being's personality. And then we come to Oshun. When we come to Oshun, we're talking about the energy of beauty. We're talking about the energy of the streams, of the lakes, of the rivers. Are you praying to an entity separate from God? No, you're not. You're dealing with that aspect of God's personality that deals with beauty, that deals with the rivers and the streams, that deal with childbirth, that deals with compassion, that deals with love. When you come to Ogun, Ogun is the divine energy of perseverance, persistence, of mettle, of war. Because yes, God is a God of war. Because the only way you can bring back righteousness is to exterminate evil. So yes, God is a God of war. But when you worship Ogun, are you worshiping something separate from God? No, you're not. You're worshiping one of God's aspects. When you go to Yemoja, you're dealing with the great divine mother. And we know that God was worshipped as a woman way longer than God was worshipped as a man. So you're dealing with the big mama. You're dealing with the energy of the waters. And then you go to Babaluaya, you're dealing with the energy of the earth and the energy of disease and health. And we could go on and on. You go to the Netaru, you're dealing with the same thing. Whether you're talking about Sekhmet, when you talk about Aset, Haru, these are aspects of the one divine personality. I need my Christians and Muslims and Hebrews to understand that African religion is a monotheistic religion. It is not polytheistic. But because you fail to recognize that God exists in all of God's creation, you see, when we pay respect to God's creation, you interpret it as we're worshiping multiple deities, when all we're doing is worshiping the supreme energy, the one supreme energy manifested in 100 different ways. Don't confuse the practice with the principle. There's only but one God. That one God came from Africa and invaded Christianity. It came from Africa and invaded Islam. It came from Africa and invaded the Hebrew system. There's nothing wrong with being a Hebrew. But I need you to understand there's only one African reality. It's okay to be Christian. There's only one African reality. If you're Muslim, there's only one African reality. Even if you Kemet or Dogon, there's only one African reality. We are the oldest people on earth. We have hundreds of thousands of different spiritual interpretations. So why do I have to say mine is better than yours? And why do you have to say yours is better than mine? Practice how you choose to practice. But the one thing that African religion has that we got to take back if we are to win this war against white supremacy is it has a profound respect for the ancestors of your bloodline that have transitioned to be with the Most High. So in your home, you need to build you a shrine. I don't care if you're Muslim or Christian or what you are. If you claim to be a revolutionary and you don't have a shrine in your home to your living dead, you're not serious. Because when Umar Johnson goes to war, I got a call on Frederick Douglass. I got the call on him because he's one of my living dead. He walked this walk before. He knows what I'm dealing with. And so I got the call on his name so that energy can come with me. I got the call on my grandmothers who didn't pass. I got the call on my great-grandfathers who didn't pass. I got two grandfathers who were Civil War veterans. You think I'm not going to call on that military energy when I'm out there dealing with crackers and haters? Of course I'm going to call on. And you got great people in your line. But if you don't tap into great-great-grandma, if you don't tap into great-great-grandpa, you're missing out on all that revolutionary energy of your family. They are ready to help you. They are waiting to help you. They are in your house. They are in your car when you drive. They're at the job when you're there. But if you don't say, help me, if you don't call their name, if you don't invoke that energy, it will not come to your assistance. We are losing out on so much spiritual power because we refuse to acknowledge our living dead. We refuse to call the names of our ancestors. Get the pictures of your grandmoms and grandpops. Get some of their old clothing. Get their pipe. Get their favorite music instrument. Get their favorite type of drink. Get their favorite type of food. Get your candle. Put it up there. Write their names down if you ain't got no pictures of paraphernalia. Burn your incense. Put some fruits and vegetables up there. Cook them a bowl of rice. Cook them some fish. Whatever you know about them they like, put it out there and talk to them. Say, great-grandma, I heard you was a master mother. I'm having trouble raising my children, but I heard you did a good job. Can you give me some of that energy? I need you. You're not praying to your ancestors. No more than you pray to Dr. Umar when you call on me to help you fight the situation that's facing your son. When you call me up and ask me for help, are you worshiping me? Hell no. You're simply calling on me to help you. And that's what we do with our ancestors. We don't worship our ancestors. We worship the one God. But we need to call on that ancestral energy. They done walk this walk. And we got to do it too. I am firmly convinced that until we reclaim our African spirituality, until we put the feminine essence back into our religious practice, because Islam made God a man, Christianity made God a man, even the Hebrews made God a man. But in Africa, God was both male and female. If you needed to call on an aspect of God that was masculine, if me and you need to go to war, Phil, we need that masculine aspect of God. So I'm going to call on Ogun. I'm going to call on Shango. I'm going to call on God the Father. But if my mother is in the hospital and she ain't doing well, or if my queen is pregnant and we expecting a healthy child, those are feminine things right there. We're talking about health and healing. So if I need to deal with the feminine principle of the divine, I'm going to call on God the Mother. In Africa, we call on God the Father and God the Mother, and ain't one no better than the other. God the Mother ain't no greater than God the Father, and God the Father ain't no greater than God the Mother. They are equal. And you call on them as you need them in your life.
Wow. Yes, indeed. That is the healing message right there, brother. That is profound. Personally want to thank you for that.
No problem, no problem.
No doubt. Blue.
Yes, bro.
Just checking to see if you're still with us, brother.
I am. I have a question as well. Now, based on your observation of some of the things that you listed tonight, Brother Umar, wouldn't you say that white supremacy is on the defensive globally as a result of the fact that it has to express its power openly and violently through the use of drones in Africa and the Mideast? As a result, right, doesn't it have what you would probably consider a greater fear of the black man uniting? And is that why white supremacy has to put people like Barack Obama, President Barack Obama for that matter, in vital positions?
Okay. The essence of warfare is deception. And white supremacy as a strategic military program for white people has to also practice deception. Placing Obama in office was a supreme act of deception because it literally influenced billions of black people around the world to actually trust in white supremacy again. Now, a lot of what the white man is doing, he's doing out of aggression, not necessarily out of a defensive position. In other words, his invasions of Libya, Egypt, now he's in Africa, this is being done to make sure they continue to control the resources, the mineral resources. He's always on the defensive because he's a minority. Whenever you're outnumbered, you're always on the defensive. He wakes up every day being on the defensive because he's a physical minority. But in terms of what he's doing on the other side of the earth, he's doing that out of aggression to ensure that China doesn't beat him out as it relates to the recolonization of Africa for the resources. But in terms of your original question, is he on the defensive? He's always on the defensive because his existence is questioned every day. Remember, you have a minority of people dominating a majority of people. Whenever a few dominates the many, they can never sleep at peace. People often ask me, if white supremacy is running this place, if they in control, why are they so damn paranoid about anybody who speaks up? Soon when anybody speak up, they go and pop them, lock them up, take them out. I mean, if they're in control, why can't they just let a little bit of black revolutionary energy out there? Because they understand military science. And the white man knows that the greatest empires in the world, the greatest ones, fell overnight to powers that was weaker than what they were. This is why I always influence black people. Never give up hope. And it's hurting me because I'm seeing so many black people put faith in white supremacy. And then I see a lot of other black folks who know what white supremacy is. They're not putting their faith in white supremacy, but they don't really feel that there's hope for us in the future. We gotta keep our hope. Where would we be if our ancestors didn't put hope in our ability to at least be physically free? Where would we be Even if you don't agree with the sum total of the civil rights movement, where would we be if those ancestors didn't have hope that they could undo some of that stuff? Where would we be if Harriet Tubman didn't think that there was any hope in what she was doing? I mean, we got to understand, we come from a people who had faith even when they didn't have proof that they should have faith. We got to recognize that lesson. And I'm seeing a lot of us are starting to give up. And that's another reason why we need to tap into our spiritual energy. Because I'll tell y'all, I was raised Muslim. My grandmother, Jehovah's Witness. I got an uncle who's a pastor. I got 5 placentas in my family. I got every religion you can think of within my extended family. And I had an opportunity to experience all those energies. And they were beneficial to some extent in certain areas. But it wasn't until I started tapping into African religion that I really began to get the force that I needed to try to sustain me as I do what I need to do. I know that my ancestors are there. Okay? In fact, when I got my reading in Florida a couple days ago, you know what the Queen Mother told me? The priestess? She said, you got an ancestor. This is what she told me. You got an ancestor that travels with you everywhere you go. Whenever you walk into the room, he's there. She said he got a very dark, deep voice. A very deep voice. And she said, wherever you at, he is there. I told her who it was. I said, that's my Uncle Frederick Douglass. She didn't know I was related to Frederick Douglass. I explained it to her. I said, he has the deepest voice in my family. He, even though my grandfather was in the struggle, he was the most profound of all my ancestors who participated in Black Revolution. I said, furthermore, one day I was in my apartment a couple years ago, and his name, excuse me, not his name, my name, was shouted inside my apartment by a very deep voice, and I thought it was Frederick Douglass there. She confirmed it with the reason when she said it. Somebody, everywhere you go, he's with you. He's rooting you on, he's cheering you on, and he got an extremely deep voice. I said, that's Frederick Douglass. She said, he's with you everywhere you go. I said, I'm not surprised, because I call on his energy whenever I pull my libation for my ancestors. And not only him, because I can't jump to him and skip my 2 spirit guides, which is my 2 grandfathers, George and Stephen, Frederick's brother and nephew. They are my spirit guides. Frederick's energy is with me because I'm doing his work. But I want to be clear, my 2 spirit guides are my 2 grandfathers, through whose seed I come. Frederick is an uncle, but they are the fathers. And I'm only putting this out there to say that we got so much energy that we need to tap into. People say, how you do it? How you fight the crackers, fight the jealous blacks, deal with this, deal with that, travel from place to place, because that's the energy. Y'all want to know my secret? That's my secret, but it's your secret too. But you got to call on them to come. I've never been the same since I went to Africa, and that's why I want everybody listening to the show tonight to get your butt to Africa. I don't care where you go. You go East Coast, West Coast, Central Africa, go to North Africa, go to South Africa. I've been all over the continent. It don't matter where you go, but you need to take off your shoes, put your feet on that soil, get in that water. When I was in Liberia, Pill, I had an opportunity to go to Miami Beach. Liberia was colonized by the American Colonization Society, so a lot of the towns are named after American towns. So the beach is Miami Beach. I got an opportunity to go into that water. And guess what I learned while I was on the beach? I learned where the concept of the burning sands comes from. When I took my shoes off to walk on the sand was burning hot. I had to put my shoes back on. I said, I'm burning. And then I started reflecting on the Greek mythology, about how the Greek philosophers said they had to cross the burning sands, and how when our brothers and sisters join Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and when they join Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and when they join Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and when they join Phi Beta Sigma, when they join Zeta Phi Beta, aka when they join Sigma Gamma Rho and Delta Sigma Theta, before you cross over with the knowledge of the secrets, you have to cross the what? Burning sands. Do you know what that come from? That come from the Greeks and the Romans crossing the sands of Kemet to get that wisdom that our ancestors had. When I put my feet on that sand in Liberia, I knew that's where they got the concept of the burning sand. They had to walk bare feet for that knowledge. We got to go back and reclaim what's ours. And I don't mean in no romanticism thing. I don't mean in no religious thing. I don't mean in no form of escapism. I'm not saying turn our spirituality into a religion. I'm saying your ancestors are with you, and we're going to need the sum total of their power to overcome this situation. I mean, don't forget, we just came into 2012. We in the age of Aquarius. When I was in Florida the other day, we was driving, coming from the meeting of the minds for Team Pan-African, and I want to influence everybody on the call, get down with the organization, my organization, Team Pan-African. We just had a powerful meeting of the minds of Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it was powerful, powerful. My good Rasta brother down in Florida, he's editing the video, so that should be available for purchase to help us raise money for Team Pan-African. Our next meeting of the minds is going to be in Detroit, Michigan, first weekend in March. Third meeting of the minds, Brother Dante, Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's going to be in May. July, we're going to be in Chicago. September, we're going to be in Texas with my brother Trey. In November, we're going to end the year off right here in Philadelphia with the final meeting of the minds for 2013. But if anybody out there looking for an organization they want to get down with, they tired of the talking, and they don't want nobody telling them what type of religion they got to pray to or believe in, I'm not into that. This is a political, economic movement. As Marcus Garvey said, he said the UNIA is not religion. The UNIA is none of that. He said the UNIA exists for one thing, and that is nation building. And that's what Team Pan-African is, the international movement for the independence and protection of African people. We're the vanguard of the 21st century. So if you want to get down with us, send me an email, send me a text, hit me on Facebook, hit me on Twitter. Get your plane ticket, get ready for Detroit, Michigan, because we're coming back strong, the first weekend in March. And to that end, I also have to send peace and blessings to the spirit of our great ancestor, Dr. Tony Martin. I don't know if y'all got the news, but Dr. Tony Martin, who is the official historian of the Garvey movement, made transition a couple of days ago while he was in a hospital in his native Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. This is the brother who wrote Race First, probably the best biography of the Garvey movement. This is the brother who publishes Marcus Garvey's Philosophy and Opinions, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Philosophy and Opinions, Volume 3 is actually published out of Europe and out of Africa. That was written by Amy Jakes Garvey and E.U. Issy Udom, the Garvey scholar out of Nigeria. But Volume 1 and 2 was published by Tony Martin. He published The Course of African Philosophy, the small blue and white book, the poetical works of Marcus Garvey, literary Garveyism, African fundamentalism, the biography of Amy Ashwood Garvey. Brothers and sisters, we lost a giant in Tony Martin. I had the opportunity to share the stage with him at North Carolina Central University, but the official historian of the Garvey movement has joined the ancestors.
Brother Umar, at 11:11 we pause for meditation. What I want to do is have the family pause for a moment of silence. Please send some love and some light to our brother in his journeys. Yes. Spirit of the ancestors, if you want to call out some other names of our ancestors as well, please feel free.
Yes, I want to definitely send a rest in light to the brother Uriel Bey, who is also made transitions to the ancestors. So definitely, brother Uriel Bey, your works and everything that you have done will be carried to the fullest by those who are still here.
Sure. Indeed. My namesake, Uncle Paul, Ashe. Calling on my ancestors, Bon Pop, Ashe. Grandpa Ralph, Ashe. Brother said, to the spirits of the giants amongst us, to the family, we have our personal ancestry that we send our love and benediction to, our blessings for that matter. Also, those that we recognize collectively, people like Frederick Douglass, Ashe. Sure. People like Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Ashe. Sure. Martin Luther King, Ashe. Sure. Elijah Muhammad, Ashe. Sure. Mother Ali, Ashe. Dr. Amos Wilson, Ashe. Sure. There are many others we send our love and our light to. You said something key in a. I got a question for you, Pill, before you go there, so I don't forget. 1111. That's a significant number, but I wanted, if you didn't mind, give me the reasoning or the rationale for why y'all chose 1111 to do the meditation, and then I'll tell you why. Okay, getting into my studies about, meditation and centralized times that I could synchronize my mind with others in the world that were doing this collective meditation, I considered it somewhat of a portal. Us being Scorpios, I always felt that 11 was a significant number. So the way that I could honor me and my brother, and the number 11 is like a mirror looking onto itself. So I felt that that would be a precise time for the family to pretty much, interdimensionally get these invocations out to the multiverse. I got you. And the reason why I asked is because Nat Turner, the great revolutionary prophet and spiritualist, he was hung on 11/11, November the 11th, 1831. Also, in the religion of Ifa, sometimes in certain traditions, like in Sanctity Apollo, the number 11 can sometimes represent the divine energy that opens up the Ashe, or the spiritual power, and that guards the crossroads, which is known as Eshu Elegba. Sometimes he's referred to as the 1-1. As an extension of what you're saying, in those particular traditions as well, the Abegis play a very key and significant role in the opening of that way. So it's my own personal way of, again, like I said, honoring that energy as the keepers of the way, or the gatekeeper, but opening those gates to the family to say, okay, this is the time when we need to penetrate, and get our intentions and our invocations through. So, it has a way of combining all of those things into one. And there are other, things as well. But definitely, it's pretty powerful. And I'm also 11/11. And I'm born on August the 21st, which is the anniversary of the Nat Turner and George Jackson's martyrdom. But I'm born in 74. 8/21/74 is my birthday. If you add 8 and 21, you get 11. And if you add 7 and 4, you get 11. So I'm also 11/11. There you have it. That's why, the ancestors guided you, wonderfully to lead up to that time when you invoke, the beautiful spirit of the brother, Tony Martin. It was right on time. So, this show is being divinely guided. Definitely tell by the spirit that's working through you as well. I wanted you to just elaborate a little bit deeper on something, because you touched on something that I want you just to go just a tad bit deeper to get the proper perspective of what you're talking about. And I got this off of a YouTube clip that was sent to me by our brother Ross Simeon. Shout out to him. Shout out to Ross. I got the package, Ross. If you're listening, I got it today. And in that clip, you were speaking about culture versus religion. And that was so key to me when I heard you breaking that down. And you touched on it earlier when you said, you know, if a person is Christian, they can still invoke or honor their ancestry and things of that nature. But I want you to speak about, you know, that particular dichotomy, how many years we're talking about when we talk about African history versus organized religion. Please, Brother Umar.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. I was accidentally on the mute button. I heard you. I was talking, but I didn't know I was on the mute button, so let me start over. I was going to say that I always say that only a fool would throw away 2 million plus years of African culture for 2,000 years of Christianity or 5,000 years of Judaism or just 1,500 years of Islam. Why would you throw away that much rich knowledge and understanding of oneself and exchange it for something that isn't even a fraction as rich, as deep, or as old as what your ancestors gave you? Nobody would do anything like that. Nobody but a slave. And so what I'm saying as it relates to culture and religion is that they don't have to be mutually exclusive. For example, when I'm in Senegal, there's a lot of Muslims in Senegal. But guess what? They still practice their culture. Their Islam is practiced within the confines of the culture. In other words, anything within Islam that contradicts African culture is not practiced. They don't make the culture accommodate the religion. They make the religion accommodate the culture. A lot of Muslims here, Sunni Muslims, if they were to see the African Muslims practice Islam, they would probably say that they're kuffar, or that they're engaged in shirk or polytheism or devil worship or whatever. Because the African Muslims, not everyone, but in many places, refuse to give up their culture for their religion. Their religion is subjugated to the culture. Whereas over here, because we don't know our culture or our history, we voluntarily give away our culture because we don't value it or know it, and in exchange, accept the religion. As powerful a man as Muhammad ibn Abdullah was, he was only prophet of Islam for little more than 2 decades. Jesus Christ only taught for 3 years. Abraham's life, the teaching aspect of his life, was not that long. So you mean to tell me you're going to give up 2 million years of African culture for 23 years of Muhammad? You're going to give up 2 million years of African culture for 3 years of Christ? You want to give up 2 million years of African culture for, a couple decades of Abraham? It does not make logical sense. It does not make mathematical sense. It does not make spiritual sense. And I want to be clear, not everyone is in the same boat. I know Hebrew brothers who do practice some of their African spirituality. They blend the two. I respect that. I know some Muslim brothers who are now warming up to the African spirituality but still practicing Islam. I can respect that. I know some Hebrew brothers who are doing it. I can respect that. But what bothers me is when we throw away 2 million plus for 323 or 100 and say, I'm sufficient with this new thing. How in the hell can you be sufficient with the new thing? And so the religions have really played a role in our condition, especially as it relates to the subjugation of our women. Now, we know all the religions say the woman must be treated like a queen, blase, blase. But if you're not dealing with the divine feminine principle within African spirituality, and I'm not talking no black woman is God, black man is God, I'm talking about the divine feminine and masculine principle that is the creator. If you're not balancing out your religion with the feminine essence of the creator, if you're not balancing out your religion with the masculine essence of the Creator, that means your religion is imbalanced. And if you're practicing an imbalanced religion, then you are imbalanced. Your psyche is imbalanced. Your soul is imbalanced. Your spirit is imbalanced. And guess what? Our condition is also imbalanced. And part of fixing our condition as a race of people is to get ourselves back in line, in alignment with the divine energies. Now, I'm a very practical brother. Very practical. Everybody knows that about me. And I don't do a lot of speaking on the spiritual. But sometimes I have to, because I got to remind people that even though Brother Umar is extremely practical with what needs to be done for our condition, I understand that the foundation upon which all that work is to be done, the foundation must be a solid spiritual piece. Because without that solid spiritual piece, we won't get out of this. In fact, let me give you a theoretical question that doesn't have to be answered. It's allegorical, but I put it out there for all of the listeners tonight. Is it possible the reason why we keep on going backward, no matter how much forward progress we make as a people in this country or anywhere on earth, is it possible that one of the missing elements to our struggle is our African spirituality? Is it possible the reason why we haven't won yet in America, quote unquote, won yet, is because we have not embraced our African spirituality, which is a part of who we are? Is it possible why we still catching as hell? It's because we are still denying our African spiritual essence. Is it possible, y'all, that no matter how many books we study, no matter how much history we learn, no matter how smart we get, is it possible that we will not overcome white supremacy until we bring our ancestral army with us?
Yep. That has to be dealt with.
Yep, I would say that'll definitely be one of the main issues that we need to tackle as a community. That's the missing pieces right there. Many people, Brother Umar.
Yes.
Many people have made the argument that spirituality, rather African spirituality, may be somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for, overrated in these days and times, because they state the fact that if it were as powerful as some say it is, and if it was as far extending as some say it was or is, then we would be seeing situations such as our oppressors, or those that are identified as, our enemies, being, subjected to the power of their ancestors. I've heard people often say, man, that magic shit don't work, man. If that shit worked, George Bush would have died a long time ago. I, of course, have rebuttals for that, because I often say to them, oh, you're an ass for thinking that these Caucasians don't have a magic system of their own. Like you for some reason, you think that only you can have magic. You don't understand that you're spiritually, being defeated by not only their energy, but your own people. It's almost reverse magic. The shit that we're doing with religion and other things, we're almost damning ourselves. So what would be your rebuttal to people that would say things like that?
Indeed. Well, first, I will start with what you just said, because I thought that was an excellent intro. The other aspect is this: African spirituality is not a religion. In other words, you cannot take the basic premise of Islam and Christianity, which basically says all you have to do is believe, and God will do the work for you. That's not African religion. African religion requires you, the practitioner, to execute the spiritual power that you are given from the universe to affect change yourself. It is not passive religion. Christianity is passive. All you have to do is believe and pray, and your problems will be worked out. That is not African religion. African religion teaches that you must use the power that is given to you to affect your change. So we have to understand that African spirituality works on vibration. You can practice the religion all you want, but unless you have a very high vibration, a very strong comprehension of what is taking place, unless you have a very firm commitment to what it is you claim to believe in, nothing will happen. One thing it does have in common with the religions of the world is the need for faith and consistent practice. But you can't say, well, if African religion was effective, why didn't George Bush die? First of all, who the hell is practicing the African religion consistently enough here on a oneness? You got 40 million Africans in America, but you ain't got 40 million Africans practicing voodoo or Dogon in concert with each other. You have individual houses of African religion, and they're doing the best that they can, but you can't expect somebody to just, put forth a particular sacrifice for the death of a devil when they are afraid to face that devil. You got to remember, African spirituality is founded on what? Courage. It's founded on righteousness. It's founded on confronting your enemy. It's not no cowardly-ass religion. Remember what happened in Haiti. Bookman Dada, the voodoo priest, he gave the call to arms to the Haitian Revolution. He didn't do no spell so Napoleon could die. He didn't drink nothing so Napoleon could die. They didn't cut off the heads of no chickens so Napoleon could die. They gave the sacrifices so that they could be involved with the spirit of God so they could carry out that victorious war. And that's exactly what happened. But they had to do the work themselves. God don't do the work. And see what it sounds like, Pill, is you still got black people who looking for somebody or something, somebody or something to do the work for them. If you're getting into African religion, hoping that by practicing African religion as opposed to spirituality, because I don't like to use that word, as opposed to Christianity or Islam, that maybe you can get God to work better for you, stay with your Bible. Stay with your Quran. Run with the Arabs. Don't come to African religion with that type of an expectation, because you're going to be told that you have to do your own work. Yes, the spirits will open up certain pathways. Yes, certain sacrifices can be done to ease the situation, but you got to do the work. There is no sacrifice you can do in African spirituality that's going to fix your problems for you. You must do it. And if you're looking for something else to do it for you, don't even get in. They've been watching too many Hollywood movies.
Talk about it. Leads me to another quote that I was able to extract from that YouTube clip. And you were speaking about certain tenets of psychology. And one of the quotes that you mentioned was, everything you do will either strengthen or weaken the behavior pattern. And then that becomes repetitive.
Yeah.
So if the children have seen their parents pretty much do nothing but pray and receive nothing from that, then chances are that that's going to become a repetitive pattern, but they're just not going to do it at all.
Exactly. One thing about children, because they just came from that ancestral realm, their hearts is a lot more pure, and because their hearts are a lot more pure, they are able to detect falsehood way better than we can. When a child walks into a room, they can tell who cares about them and who don't. Children are very pure. And so when a child sees the parent practice a religion that they haven't been able to use to effectively change in their life, they automatically know that either something's wrong with the parent or something's wrong with the religion. So why would a child with a pure heart involve themselves with something that appears to be deceitful? Children ain't got time for that nonsense. That's why it's so important for children to go to church every Sunday. That's why they got to go to the mosque every Friday. Because the purpose of the mosque and the church for a child, okay, is to erase their common sense, to erase their critical analysis, to kill the desire to think freely. Now, some people who belong to religions, they might take offense to that, but it is the truth. Let's look at education, and let's look at indoctrination. Education, the school, teaches the child to think, or at least it should. It should teach them to think, okay? To question everything, to develop the critical analysis skill, to become a deep thinker. That's the purpose of an education. There's no masjid in America that educates children. There's no church in America that educates children. There's no temple in America that educates children. Why? Because they are all based on teaching them what to believe, not teach them how to think. The church does not want people to think. The masjid does not want people to think. The temple does not want people to think. They want people to follow, and follow blindly. So how do you get a child who is curious by nature? How do you get a child who is curious by nature to stop being curious, to stop thinking? Because let's be honest, the reason why the Creator, the infinite invisible, gives children such a curious consciousness is because the Creator has engineered the minds of our babies to be suspicious of everything until they find the ultimate truth. That's why all of us question. You don't have to be taught to question. You automatically question, because anything that is false cannot withstand your questioning. Nothing false can withstand your question. If it's false, sooner or later, you're going to find the fallacy and you're going to leave yourself away from it. That is God. God can stand the test of time. Divinity can stand the test of time. Divinity is not afraid to be questioned. Not at all, because it's truth. God and truth are synonymous. But religion is not God. And too often we confuse the way with the goal, the means with the method. Big mistake. We equate Christianity with God. We equate Islam with God. These are not God. These are systems that man created to achieve God. And so what happens is the church and the mosque has to constantly do what? Repeat the same thing to the children. Repetition, repetition, repetition. They get punished for questions, punished for questions, punished for questions. Mommy, how do we know Jesus was the Son of God? You don't ask nothing like that, boy. Jesus is the Son of God because the pastor say that. Daddy, how do we know if Muhammad ibn Abdullah was really a prophet of God? You don't ask me no questions like that. The Imam said, and the Quran said, that Muhammad was the prophet of God, and that's what you won't believe. So children feel guilty about searching for the truth. They start to feel guilty about searching for the truth. And once they have been made to feel totally guilty about searching for the truth, they stop. And the minute they stop searching for the truth, that's when they become a good Christian. The minute they stop searching for the truth, that's when they become a good Muslim. I'm not looking for good Muslim children and good Christian children. In fact, if you're a good Muslim and a good Christian, you might not want your child to come to my school. I am not going to disrespect your religion, but they are going to be taught to question everything, including their religion. So if you're one of those parents who don't like your children to think about spiritual matters and just accept whatever they're taught, don't send them to the Frederick Douglass or Marcus Garvey Academy, because you get your feelings hurt. For us to raise the type of warriors that we need, we got to teach our children to think, including about religion. And we're going to talk about all religions and all aspects of religion and all houses of religion. They're going to be taught about the Moorish thing. We're going to look at it from every side and corner. They're going to be taught about the Hebrew thing. We're going to look at it from every side and corner. They're going to be taught about the Nawabian thing. We're going to look at it from every side and corner. They're going to be taught about the Christian thing, the Muslim thing, or even the African spiritual systems. Everything is up for analysis, because only truth can stand. So if what you believe in is truth, it will stand. Why are you so scared about the children questioning? Because deep down inside you are insecure, because you know some of the things you're teaching them ain't come from God. It came from man.
The perfect segue to my next question, and I have to ask this question. In regards to tonight's topic, okay, of where we're talking about the illusion of inclusion, in the description, one of the first things that I listed was the fact that we were going to delve into whether this had anything to do with status. Now,
Yes,
I've heard you, speak before on the topic. I haven't heard you frequently touch upon it, but it would be remiss upon us if we didn't address it tonight. What are your thoughts on the arguments that various Moors make about status being one of the denominators in this particular equation that may lead to a different standing in this political system?
Good question. First of all, let me say this. I think that a lot of what the Moorish brothers and sisters have to teach is right and exact. I think their knowledge of the law is right and exact. Where I differ with them is to the extent that they think that that can bring about true freedom and independence. And my difference with them and my position is based on a sound understanding of history. My difference with them isn't profound because I do ascribe to some of what they taught. At the end of the day, His Excellency, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, and Prophet Noble Drew Ali were political associates. Okay? They did not have a beef. They worked alongside each other. They had some things in common, but they also respected each other's differences. There was never beef there. Two of my most dear elders here in Philadelphia, both of them are Moors, and they understand that I'm a Garveyite. There's no friction. Here's my issue with the doctrine. There is no people in world history, not one, and I challenge anybody to find them for me, no race, no nation has ever come out from under oppression by using laws. Never have you seen one people dominated by another, whether they are in their land or not. You have never seen them gain freedom through law. Never. Anytime a people get free, they do not apply for it. They do not fill out forms. They do not go to court. When people want freedom, they die fighting for it. That has been since the beginning of time. There is no exception to that. That's my first difference. My second major difference is based on the fact that white supremacy does not respect laws. They only respect power. This is the same argument Mr. Garvey had with Drew Ali. Respectful disagreement. Show me where the white man has ever respected law. He don't. Bullies don't respect law. That's why they're bullies. When the white man went into Libya, there was no law that gave him the right to do that. None. He did it because he said, ain't nobody going to stop me. If we want to destroy white supremacy, we got to do it with our own two hands. We got to do it with our own military science and strategy. We got to do it with our own economic and political agenda. You cannot use laws to free yourself from a devil. You cannot use laws to gain independence. Do I think that the use of law can be used as a strategy? Yes, I do. I think that in some aspects, in some places, and in some spheres, we can use that knowledge to take us to a certain distance. But it can only get us so far. Those are my two differences with the Moorish philosophy. Laws don't free people, and the white man don't respect laws.
Respectfully.
Now, the one thing we do agree on, the one thing that we absolutely do agree on, and this is where the bridge exists between the Garveyite and the Moor, or the Pan-Africanist and the Moor, and that is black people in America have to stop identifying themselves as African Americans, as blacks, or as Negroes. We have to understand, and of course the Moor would say Moor, I would say African, but we have to understand, regardless of what term we use, that we have to recognize that we are a nation within a nation. And when a nation has issues with another nation, as black people have with the government of America or the white man, you don't go to the other nation's court for justice, because you two are equals. So if the black nation is the equal of the white nation, the black nation has no business going to the white nation's court seeking retribution. Instead, we go where? To the world court. That's right. We go to the International Court of Justice, or the International Criminal Court. We go to the United Nations. When nations have problem with nations, they go to the world court. They don't go to a domestic court. So we are on the same accord with the Moors as it relates to the fact that we do not need to be fighting our battles in America's courts. Because by doing so, as they say, we are subjecting ourselves to their jurisdiction by not recognizing the fact that we are not American. I do not agree that we have to call ourselves Moors. I happen to know my ancestral tree, and my people were not here before slavery. They were brought in as slavery. So obviously there's some disagreement there, because you can't feed me that, because I know where my people come from, and they come from Africa. So again, my relationship with the Moors is based upon the fact that we do share some commonalities, and I think that our commonalities exceed our differences. Right now, I'm working with a couple Moorish brothers to talk about drawing up that paperwork to take the plight of African people to the United Nations and to the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice. I believe that the American white man and the United States government, while President Obama is in office, should be taken to the International Criminal Court of Justice for his mistreatment of African people in this country. That is something we should try to do before that coward leaves office. And we should do it while he's in there, because it shows the world that we recognize that he was not president of all the people. He was president of some of the people. And even if he was president of all the people, it recognizes that we do not acknowledge him to have any control of us, because we do not fall under his jurisdiction, because we do not identify ourselves as African American, nor is there any document in American history that identifies us as citizens of this country. We are a nation within a nation, and we need to start governing ourselves as such. That is where we unite.
Hello. Let's honor the callers. Yes, it is so many hands up in the call queue. I really hope that we are able, not hope, but, I want to get to a fair amount of callers, get the family involved. The people are definitely fired up. I do understand that the lines are packed, so people that listen on the computer, you may not be able to call in, but we do recommend that you download this show immediately after it's finished, sometime past the 12 a.m. mark. So please let us start going to the callers in the call queue. With your permission, Dr. Umar.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. Give thanks to our faith. And for the Cali family, just want to remind the Cali family, the brother Black Dot will be in LA this Sunday at the Karad Center. Okay, shout out to Siddiqui Bakari, the FDP movement, right? Shout out to A.A. Rashid. Brother Black Dot will be in LA this Sunday. Okay. Let's see, we got one more caller that we're going to be able to get to. Computer giving me a little bit of problems. Brad, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, it just unfroze. Let me go to caller from the 585. Caller from the 585-303.
Can you hear me?
Please, yes we can.
Peace, brother Umar. How you doing? It's Haqi from Rochester, New York. Brother Haqi. All right.
Me and you talked when you and Ross Simeon came. We talked about my book, the Tribalism book. I just want to get your take on that. Taking getting, we always talk these huge concepts of black togetherness and saving black people. When we talk about that, Facebook, you're talking conversations with people. It's been my opinion that everybody has in their mind that we can save everybody at once. And, because of the Messiah complex that we have, and because of the religion that we're pushed into, and because of, media and stuff like that, movies and stuff like that, everybody has that concept. And I talked to you before about the corporate tribalism thing and making smaller groups that are more manageable, that also do the same thing, which is, give us back to a unity that's based on more than just our blood, but on shared common interests and things of that nature. And I just want to get your opinion on that. That's all.
Well, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think moving in small groups has an advantage, but there's also a strength to large group psychology too, that we don't want to lose. I don't think it's an either or. I think both need to be complemented. I think that in certain aspects we need to move in smaller groups, and I think with other aspects we need to move in the large group. Because there's definitely a power that comes from the mass crowd. Most of our large organizations were built with the mass crowd, be it the Gravity Movement, the Nation of Islam, and others. But I definitely see your point, and I do agree that as it relates to certain things like economics and things like that, it would not hurt, to move in smaller groups. In fact, we already have all the smaller groups or the organizations. They simply have to come together in a round table format and work together towards the same agenda. All we have to do is take all the organizations we have, and there's all our small groups moving in unity to accomplish the bigger goal. So, our biggest issue is unity. In fact, unity is our only problem. We don't have any other problem except unity. Everything, when we talk about solutions, we already know what the solution is. Okay? I mean, everybody has built businesses in this country. Look at the Chinese people. They come here in 2 weeks. They got an import-export industry. So the solutions ain't the issue. We ain't got to come up with new solutions. You build a nation the same way you've always built a nation. Our problem is the unity. We lack the one thing everybody else got that makes it possible to implement the solutions. We don't have the unity. That is the only problem black people have. True indeed. That is the only problem we have, is the unity. Once you got the unity, you build your own schools. Once you got the unity, you stand up to white supremacy. Once you got the unity, you got your economics, you got your politics. Our only problem, literally, is unity. Even in the conscious community, our only problem is the unity. If we can get that unity, the rest is easy.
I completely agree, and that's why I've been putting my focus on that. And getting you to understand that economically, business-wise, coming together in proximity together, I just think that the tribalism and bringing people together in that aspect so that they can start to move as one, reevaluate what we consider success, reevaluate what we consider power, or even giving somebody that kind of power, because a lot of brothers, they don't understand what power is. They don't understand, how to use power either. So, I completely agree. That's the missing piece of our puzzle. We have people who have sacrificed on our history. They've sacrificed to bring us back spirituality, but that's the one thing that we haven't really sacrificed en masse for us to get into. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I agree. Definitely, we want to say thank you to the caller. No doubt, brothers. Keep it up. Shout out to the brother Ross Simeon as well. All right? No doubt. Shout out, Ross.
Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize what the drama is beginning. So we are the drama. Therefore, they don't realize.